Tonight, we are talking about imperfect action, readiness, and the tension between expression and alignment. This is The Keys with Paige Williams. Please call in or text the show to 1-801-THE-KEYS. That's 1-801-843-5397. So here's the tension that we're going to talk about today with our two questions that we got into the show, one text and one voicemail, and thank you for leaving those questions. When does imperfect action build authority? When does it dilute it? And how do you know you're ready to act? How do you know fear isn't just disguising itself as a disturbance? Creative leadership is what happens when a leader is all of themselves. Tonight is learning how to move without self-abandonment. I invite you to call 1-801-843-5397 with your message, or you can text the show. What is your question? But we're going to get to our first question of the night. The questioner asks, how do I know imperfect action isn't hurting my objective? How do I know that imperfect action is not hurting my objective? How do I know if I am prepared enough? Is fear just stopping me? There are three possibilities here with the first part of your question. Is it hurting my objective if I'm imperfect? Number one, I don't know any perfect people. There is no one operating in the world with perfection, not messing up. So don't worry about that. You are just a human having a human experience. But if you're looking at your objective and looking at imperfect action, are you being reckless? That's my first question. Are you underprepared but growing? That's my second question. And my third question is, are you avoiding visibility? Most high performers are not reckless. They are over-responsible. So I doubt you're being reckless. This is probably more about being prepared. So I want to give you a minimum viable readiness framework. You are ready when you understand the stakes. What is it that you're doing? What are the stakes involved? You've done your basic diligence about your action. You can articulate your why. Why is it that you want to take action? And you're willing to learn publicly, just like I'm doing on this show. Preparedness does not mean calm. It means conscious. So when you ask about imperfect action hurting my objective, look at, do you understand the stakes? Have you done your basic diligence? Can you articulate your why? And are you okay learning publicly? Let's do a body check on this question of fear versus intuition. Is fear just stopping me? If you check into your body when you ask yourself that question, misalignment or fear can feel heavy. It can feel contracting. Growth, fear feels electric and stretching. Ask yourself, if this expands, what succeeds? If this succeeds, what expands? If this fails, what actually collapses? Most of the time, failure is just a collapse of the ego, which we will survive. The story running underneath this question is often, if I'm not perfect, do I lose credibility? But you have to understand the cost of that story. That means not acting from fear. And not acting from fear means no progress towards your dreams. Replace the story with, I build credibility by moving. Authority grows in motion. Because the fact is, that without movement, we don't grow. We don't create authority. So give yourself the allowance to move anyway, regardless of perfection versus imperfection, regardless of people pleasing or what will they think of me. Move anyway if it is in alignment with your value system, if it's what your heart truly desires. Do not fear imperfection. Because again, I don't know any perfect people, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear the gifts of your heart. So keep moving forward. Thank you so much for your question. I hope that this answered it. I want to tell you about our Leadership Council. About every 3 months, I host a 6-week Leadership Council based in The Creative Keys, my award-winning book, The Creative Keys. And we spend 6 weeks, an hour and a half each week on Fridays, really going through the keys 2 weeks at a time. And we look at creative leadership because if you want to change your life, change your business, you have to change yourself. And the 12 creative keys gives you a framework for that change. And the results of going through my leadership council have led the women to be very clear in their next steps in their business. So I invite you to go to my website at paigewilliams.co and join the waiting list for the next leadership council, and I'll let you know when it's coming. Okay, let's go to our second question. Thank you so much for this call-in question. And Dee Dee asks, what if I'm not stuck, but in the tension of putting something out there? How do I know if it is aligned action and not just throwing something out to see what sticks? Dee Dee, thank you for your question. And what I want to say is this is not stuck. This is a threshold moment, which is what we're great at here at the Keys. You're not confused. You are discerning, and you're choosing which moment this is. So let's do a little assessment of experimentation versus insecurity. Are you sharing with the world from a place of curiosity or from the need of validation? Ask yourself, does this feel true to who I am now? Would I still share this information if no one applauded? And am I expanding or am I performing? If the body softens, it is aligned action. If the body braces and gets tense, you are managing outcomes. And that's not wrong. It's just useful to know which one is which. And let's look at the in-between here. The in-between, when you're deciding between doing this or that, is integration. It's staying true to your message and deciding what is the most true action to take. And this in-between integration can't be rushed. Think of it as like a fruit waiting to ripen. You also don't leave it on the branch forever. So a discernment question of deciding which action to take can be, am I refining my craft or am I protecting my identity? And you want to lean towards refining your craft over protecting identity because you want to become all of yourself with what you are teaching today. Alignment is actually revealed through the action that you take. Remember that. So yes, we come to aligned action through listening to our intuition, but we come into discerned aligned action by taking some action and seeing what is revealed through that action. Just like me doing this 3rd episode of The Keys with Paige Williams, I am learning by the doing. And I'm understanding more and more what this show is about and how to respond to these questions in a way that helps you as the audience. So this is the key. Alignment is not necessarily proven before the action. Alignment is revealed through the action. And sometimes you just put something out, not to see what sticks, but to see who you become in the action, in the sharing. That is creative leadership. If it's 80% true, that action you take, and 20% scary, move on it. okay? Because creative leadership is not about knowing the outcome. That leans towards controlled leadership. Creative leadership is knowing your mission, knowing your objective, and taking aligned action towards that objective. And what happens as a result of that is we change through the process. I know more today than I did 3 weeks ago when I started this show about myself. I am more confident in who I am in teaching the lessons of the creative keys by doing this show 3 weeks later than I was 3 weeks ago. So the creative act itself helps us become all of who we are today. So if you're 80% sure, move anyway, and the action will teach you. Both of these questions, the first question and the second question, are about identity safety. Both are about relationship anxiety, and both are about control leadership trying to survive. So here's what we know about narrative intelligence. Narrative intelligence tells the story of who we are based on who we are. And we have to look at the stories underlying the stories that we're telling ourselves. So whenever we're trying to decide whether to move or not, what happens if we're imperfect in our movement? Look at the story we're telling ourselves underneath that question. Is this from fear? Is this from performance? Or is this from purpose? Is this from objective? Is this from alignment with who I am today? Or am I just really scared because I'm scared to mess up? If you're scared to mess up, it's okay. Do it anyway. You're going to learn so much about yourself. Narrative intelligence can teach us that. Okay, to those in my audience, I bet these questions really resonated with you. So I want you to think about your own creative leadership right now and where you are in your life and your business. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions. What identity are you protecting today? What version of you is afraid to die? What would collapse if you stopped performing? These are big questions. They're heavy questions, and you have to look at the stories that you're telling yourself in order to change. I want to give you a 3-step micro practice to take away today from this show. Define the move that you are avoiding. What is it that's making you uncomfortable? The thing that you know you want to do, but you're avoiding it. Define it. Number 2, define the minimum viable readiness that is required to take action. What is the least smallest step you can take to move towards readiness and action? Number 3, take one visible step within 72 hours. Why visible? Because we become all of ourselves when we are visible, both to ourselves and to the customer who we're serving. Listen, I want you to know something. In my work, every time I am coaching people, they're asking, am I enough? Every single coaching call comes down to an issue of self-worth. Every single one. It doesn't matter if they are 25 years old or 65 years old. It's, am I good enough? And am I strong enough? Can I be seen? And can I be heard? And all of that is internal work. And I am here to tell you that you are divinely loved. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you can take that next step. And the only person who needs to give you permission is yourself. You hold the permission slip, and you can write as many permission slips as you want. Hey, be sure to call or text in your question to the keys this week so that I can answer it next week. I love these questions. The show number is 1-801-THE-KEYS. That's 1-801-843-5397. You can listen to all of these episodes wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. This is The Keys, and we're learning how to be all of ourselves. Thank you for joining me. See you next week.